So in this video we're going to focus on an example to further explain how opportunity cost works. So the example is, imagine two countries that can both produce food F and clothing C. So country X produces 12 food or 4 clothing, and country Y produces 10 food or 2 clothing. So let's just note these differences down. So X food is 12, or it can be 4 clothing, and for Y it can be 10 food, or it can be 2 clothing. Okay, now that we got that down, let's calculate the opportunity cost for food. So the opportunity cost, remember, is what we gain or what we lose over what we gain. So the opportunity cost for food is, what we lose is we lose 4 clothing, and what we gain is we gain 12, 12 more pieces of food. So that's the how we calculate it. What we lose 4 clothing. What we gain, we can either produce one or the other, right? What we lose or what we gain. So if it's 4 for 12, we lose 4 clothing for 12 food. And if we get the lowest common multiple of these, we get 1 over 3. And for opportunity costs of country Y for food, it's what we lose. We lose 2 clothing, and we gain 10 food, and that equals to 1 over 5. Now for the opportunity cost for food, what we lose for country X is we lose 12 pieces of food. 12 pieces of food, and we get 4 pieces of clothing, so that's 3. And for country Y, what we lose is we lose 10 pieces of clothing, and we get 2, or we lose 10 pieces of food and we get 2 pieces of clothing. So 10 over 2, which is 5. So pretty much what we're saying here is, to get 1 more unit of food, we have to give up 1 over 3 clothing. To get 1 more unit of food, we have to give up 1 over 5 pieces of clothing. Now this part makes more sense uh, rather than using fractions. So to get 1 more piece of clothing, we have to we have to give up 3 food, and that makes sense because so we're getting, because this is pretty much like 1 to 3 ratio. If we um, bring it down 1 to 3, so pretty much, well, get 1 clothing. To get 1 clothing, we give up 3 food, and that's pretty much how it goes. And same for Y, we get 5 food, or we have to give up 5 food to get 1 piece of clothing. So this would be a 1 to 5 ratio. And absolute advantages. So if I ask you the question, which country has the absolute advantage for producing food? Well, absolute advantage is pretty much, remember, it's who can produce more. So in this case, who can produce more food? Well, X has the absolute advantage in food because they make 12 food compared to country Y, who makes 10. So 12 is greater than 10. Similarly, X also has the absolute advantage in clothing because they make 4 compared to 2. Now, comparative advantages where we use our opportunity cost. So remember, comparative advantage is who can produce at the lower opportunity cost. So in this regards, let me just put these up as bullet points. In this regards, Y has a comparative advantage, in food. And why is this? Because they can make a piece of food with 1 over 5 piece of clothing. So, and 1 over 5 is less than 3, less than 1 over 3. So that's why Y has the comparative advantage in food. Now X has the comparative advantage in clothing because they the cost of making 1 more unit of clothing is 3 pieces of food, compared to compared to the country Y, which have to give up 5 pieces of food. So 3 is less than 5, and X has comparative advantage in C. So specialization. So the question here is who should specialize in what? Well, Y has comparative advantage in food, so they're better at making food at a lower cost. So pretty much, Y specializes in food, and X specializes in clothing, of course, because they can produce it at a lower opportunity cost. And this is all I want to teach you in this video. If you're not sure, if you're still too iffy about it, make sure to go through the video again. Other than that, please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we'll continue with this example. Yeah, look forward to that, and I'll see you next time.